Greetings, this is Pastor Mani Erfan from Mani Erfan Ministries, and I invite you to another one of our programs about stories of salvation from Muslims from across the world, the supernatural work of the Holy Spirit in today's time, from turning the hearts of people who once were the enemies of the gospel into the people who love Jesus Christ and His kingdom and the Father in heaven. Now, we had a program with Pastor Ramin, by the way. Welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Pastor Ramin Changizi really shared in our first part of our program a part of his story, but his story was so awesome, so good, we couldn't all fit it into one program, so we're going to continue the story in today's program. And Ramin, you know, when we ended up the program last time, you were talking about, you know, how God had touched your life in Iran, how basically you were ostracized, kicked out of the national volleyball team, school, you couldn't get even your diploma, family and all that, and your dad were trying to kill you, but through it all, you ended up by saying that God has delivered your mom, God saved your dad, and He essentially has just done all that miraculous work in you. But where we ended, you were still in Iran, and now you want to continue the story and see what happened because there's a lot of good other stuff that happened to you. That was just the very first 2 or 3 years of your faith walk. So tell me a little bit about what happened right after right after that time.
Yes, in Iran, so if you are not participating with the Islamic thing,
yes,
you cannot go to university, you cannot be maintaining in a sport team.
Yeah.
And you can do nothing, even you cannot get married, you cannot even name your children. You have to participate in Islamic mosque or anything. So they come after you, so if you are not participating in any of those. So when I became Christian, I was cut off from all the activities I could have, either in university or in school, after getting my diploma, or even the sport. So I had no choice, and then they came after us. There were some spies in the church, and we didn't know that. So they came and they had a tape recorder in their jacket. So it was popping out, and you knew they're recording you, and they had all your names. And then one of my friends, he came, he knew some of these people, and he said they're after you, they want to arrest you, and they're gonna put you in jail or kill you. So we had no choice unless we had to leave Iran. So I couldn't even tell my mom or my sister. So I just told my dad that.
How old were you?
I was 20 years old.
Okay, so you just felt like you were going to be sent to jail then if you stayed.
Yeah, and because they stopped the church, and
that was the church in Ahvaz?
Ahvaz, yeah. And later on, they arrested the pastor. He was 1 year in a prison. So before that, I knew that it's coming, because the pastor was Armenian, so we were Muslim converts, so it's a completely different story for us. So I talked to one of my friends. He said, I know a guy, he can take you and you can cross the border from the east side of Iran to Pakistan.
Okay, so you decided to flee the country. And by the way, many people do flee a country in Iran because of their faith. There's thousands and thousands of Iranian refugees, Christian refugees today living in countries like Turkey, even people like Georgia in the CIS, other countries, Pakistan, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, even Australia. I mean, they just leave, and they are refugees, and they have basically no status. And part of our ministry is to try to help these people at least find some form of assistance and help. So you left. You went to Pakistan. So now you're in Pakistan. Tell me what happened in Pakistan.
Not that quick in Pakistan. We were just in the border. So when we want to go with this guy, the Revolutionary Guard, they were after us. So we had to get a motorbike and go through the border, but we didn't pass the border. So they want to arrest us. So we were in the bed of the river. We were going with the motorbikes. After many hours, we could pass them. We were hiding, and then we could pass to the first village of the Pakistan. And then I was thinking, okay, now we are free, and now we are going to the country that maybe it's like a European country. I didn't have any idea. So
you never had any. I mean, Pakistan. I
in
think
Pakistan,
about that.
so they had.
You were very naive to think that Pakistan is a haven for Christianity.
Well, I didn't know, and then we passed. When we passed, there was no road. I mean, at least in Iran there was roads. Over there was no road, no water, nothing, and we were lost in the mountains.
Wow.
For 3 days, Pastor, I didn't have any food or water, and two of us fainted, and we were 4 people. I had to carry one person, and the other guy, he had to carry another one. And I was asking the Lord, you brought us out from Iran, and you want to kill us here in the desert? And,
I heard somebody else say that too.
Yeah. So I was praying, and then suddenly in the middle of the desert, imagine there were a few days you didn't eat and drink, and there was 2 guys that were coming, and with a jar of water, and they handed me a cup. It was a metal cup. It was a dew on it. It was like a cold. So you see how a cold cup. So I was drinking it. I said, oh, thank God, that was the best water in my. And I told the guys, that's really good. And the guy said, what is good? He said, the water is so cold and very good. He said, no, ours is very hot and very dirty. And I said, no, but mine is so cold and good. And the guy said, your water is different. It's from well, and there is from the river, out there. And the Lord said, you see, I'm taking care of your water even different. And don't worry, even in desert, I don't leave you here. I don't forsake you.
Wow.
I will be with you. So from then, it was so hard because we had to cross so many checkpoints, and they shoot at us. Then we had to swim past the river. It was so hard to get to the Karachi that it was. So eventually we got there, and I was looking for the church. And then I found the Iranian church. I started working with Iranians, and God was doing great things among Iranians. Then from there, I started to work with an organization, they call it Open Doors.
Yeah, Open Doors.
So we tried to smuggle Bible to Iran, and then we were working among the people. So from then on, my ministry started. That the Lord said, if I brought you out, I have a plan for you. And so I was I said, Lord, I don't know what, but I'm yours. Just do whatever you want to do.
Yes.
So we started going village to village. Christian in Pakistan, because it's an Islamic country, they're outcasts.
Yes.
They're not in city. They're in villages, and they're the poorest, and they're the lowest jobs. They're sweepers.
Yes, and menial jobs. Yes.
Yeah. And so we were going out to the villages, and I was Pastor Mani for the first time. I never forget the first sermon I gave.
Okay.
Because before in Iran, even I didn't preach. And I was just a believer, and I was playing just
a piano or something
keyboard,
like that.
Keyboard in a church. And so when I came out, I was not a leader, I was not a preacher, I was nothing. And I remember when I started working with, I had just a testimony to share with the people. And then there was a pastor that he had a doctorate degree from New York.
Wow.
And I was supposed to visit him in Rawalpindi, close to Istanbul.
Yeah.
So I went there, and then he said, Brother Ramin, the Lord told me we have to work together. I said, okay, what shall we do? And he said, you're going to preach. I said, who's going to preach? He said, you. I said, no, because I was literally in English. And so I never preached even in my language, so I don't know how to preach. And
so you were going to preach to the Pakistani people?
Yeah, and I said, I cannot do it. He said, don't argue with me. You go and ask the Lord. I said, that's good. Okay, I knew that I cannot preach, so I said, okay, fair enough. So I went, and as soon as I bowed down, I said, Lord, he said, pray, and the Lord said, the message is John 18, what is the truth? And that the pilot asked Jesus, and I said, Lord, wait. And I was writing the thing that the Lord was telling me, and I didn't recognize that I'm supposed to preach this. So I was just writing the message. And then he called me, did you get the message? I said, yes, I got it. He said, I told you have to preach. The Lord told me you have to preach here. And I said, okay, but brother, I don't know English. My English is really bad. He said, okay, come here, we'll talk. And I said, that's good, at least I can practice, because that night I had to preach. And so when I went there, I tried to open the Bible, my Farsi Bible, and just ask him, what is this word, what is that word? And he said, brother, did you prepare that sermon? I said, no, I didn't. I didn't want to preach. He said, if God has given you the message, He will give you the language. Why are you afraid?
Wow.
I said, oh my goodness, I cannot do that. You know? He said, I'm not going to teach you language, because God gave you the message, He has to deliver it.
Wow.
And imagine this guy, he had a PhD in theology. I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
I have no background.
Iranian.
But he
in
was,
Pakistan.
Yeah. And he was such an anointed pastor. And he was the reason that God encouraged me through him for the ministry. And then we went, there was, in Pakistan it's different. Than,
Yes. Yeah.
The people, they sit
Yes.
4 hours, 6 hours, they're worshiping and praising God. It doesn't matter, is it raining or something there. And then we were sitting, and I couldn't control my tongue. Yeah. And he said, slow down, I cannot translate, you are so fast. I couldn't, and the God was doing miracles away. But before that we go there, what happened? There was, somebody came in, to his door, and he said, Pastor Ramin, there is a girl, she needs to be prayed because she has a bone problem. All her bone was twisted. I said, okay, but I cannot pray in English. If you want, I can pray in Farsi. He said, okay, pray. And in front of my, first, as soon as I saw, there was the power of God was going through me. And the bones were, all the bones getting straight up. Wow. I was shocked myself. I said, what's going on here? And the Lord spoke to me, it's not you.
Yes.
It's me. You are just a vessel.
Amen.
I will do my job.
So you saw many miracles in Pakistan.
Blind could see, the paralyzed, lame could walk.
Lame could walk.
So many things happened. And I was just a 20 years old kid.
And you were there going from village to village, serving God. And you saw many, many tangible miracles.
Yes.
Well, was that one with the young girl with the highlight? Give me the...
That was the point that God said, it's not you, you are preaching. Before the sermon.
Yes.
Then after that, we went to the church to preach.
Okay.
And that's why I said, okay, if God is in control, so I'm not gonna afraid. Then it was such a strong anointing that even that brother, he couldn't translate. It was so fast. I was... And I had no voice anymore because we were preaching and praying, and then I was out, it was, and the people, they were just, they brought them with wheelchair, they were standing, and I was shocked. For the first time I was seeing this thing happening.
Amen.
And I knew it is not me, and Amen. God especially did that. And then later on I will tell you, in even the ministry that I do, ministry of music, writing songs, I have no background of music. I don't know notes, even I cannot read notes. And I just know to play, but I never learned in music. But the Lord started giving me the songs and other things to show that it's not you. I can give you the songs, lyrics, everything. And it was all to His glory. It's not us, and it's through us He's working.
Okay. Give me a little bit of a background of what happened. I understand from your story that you end up in a Pakistani jail.
Yes.
Not a very pleasant place to live.
No.
What happened? You were trying to leave Pakistan, and so you got introduced to some people who could smuggle you out.
Yes.
And so I don't want to get into too much of the story of who but these were not the most nicest guys in the world. But you got to know them, you were going to, so what happened? Give me a little story. How did you end up in a Pakistani jail?
So, because we crossed the border, we didn't have a legal document.
So you were illegal immigrants, yes.
Illegal immigrants, and I was going village to village or working, and then I eventually came to the Karachi to the point that, okay, there was the pastors that are coming from Iran, and even I was working with Open Doors, they couldn't, get me, in the United Nations, I couldn't do anything. I didn't have anything. So normally you have to get a forged passport, the agent they make for you, and then you go to other country. So as he made everything for me ready, but
this is the guy which was the trafficker.
Yeah.
Not the very nice guy.
No, he was just a guy that he gets money from people, and then. But I had a chance because he was an athletic guy. He was a judo it was a nice, very athletic guy. And he knew I was a national player. We became friends through the sports.
I see.
And because he was playing flute, I was playing guitar. And then I could share my things with him, but he didn't believe. So after he said, "You're a nice guy, and I think it's not good for you to stay in Pakistan. It's a really dangerous place." So he said, "I will help you to send you without money."
Oh, okay.
Without money. So later on, you can ask your sister or your dad to send you money. I trust you because I can trust you. You are a good guy.
I see.
So he fixed the things and he sent me. But the same day that he was coming with me, and we were 6 people with him and 6 other people from other agent, and
you were supposed to go to the airport.
They reported us. They just reported that we are going.
Somebody just told everybody that you guys are leaving. Okay.
Then they were waiting for us. So they. Before that,
yes,
I was in a volleyball game.
Yeah. Now, how in the world you ended up in a volleyball game? Weren't you kicked off the football? The volleyball team?
No, it was Iranian people. They made the volleyball team in Pakistan. So I was the captain of that Iran team.
I see.
So we had the games. So they said, please don't go, wait here until we finish these games. And then I said, okay. But in that game, I was like jumping to spike, and when I came down, my knee came out. I tore everything. And from that moment, I felt all my life is changed, because all my goal was to become a national player for volleyball, or a coach for national team for later on, or learn volleyball professionally, or whatever. I go out, and suddenly I lost everything. I couldn't play.
So the day that you're supposed to all be leaving,
I had this problem with money.
So you're in the hospital.
Not hospital. I had no money, nothing. And this guy said, don't worry, I will get you to the airplane. I had crutches, and they brought me with crutches to the airport to go to another country, and then we will deal with that. And that day, they got us, arrested us, and they put us in jail with the crutches and everything.
But the guy who was arranging the thing for you, he was not caught.
No, he knew their language. He put more money in their passport, and they passed him. So he went to Singapore.
So he left. Everybody else caught.
Caught, and we were.
Now you're in the jail in Pakistan.
In the jail. Imagine, I cannot walk. I had my my meniscus, my knee, every ligaments are tore. I cannot sit.
I can only imagine how bad a Pakistani jail is.
And the Pakistani jail, there is no toilet, nothing.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you have. The room that they call it barak. We were inside, 255 people in a space like this.
Oh my gosh.
And you have to go to the corner to do your things. And the next day you have to clean, you have to sleep there. It was terrible. And there was no water. There was a well. For half an hour you had to take the water. You could see the worms, everything. It was very, very unpleasant.
I can only imagine. And as you're a believer, what are you thinking to God that time?
I said, why, Lord? I didn't do anything.
Serve you. Now you have to imagine.
And the Lord said, I want to do something with you in this prison.
Wow.
And I said, what is it? I cannot even, to go to toilet here. I cannot bend my knee. And they had to take my hand to stand up. I couldn't do anything. And the Lord said, I will use you here.
So what happened there?
The guy was a national boxer of Kenya. He was smuggling heroin from there. And he was there. He was like 6'8". He was a big guy, like 400 pounds. And he came, what is your name? I said, Ramin. I said, what is Ramin means? He said, you are not Muslim? I said, no, the Ramin is a Persian name, not Islamic name. And he started talking about Persia, but not the way that politically people they talk, but about the Bible. I know Cyrus, the king, I know Darius. And I said, how do you know this thing? He said, from Bible. I said, do you know Bible? I said, I don't want to talk about it. I said, okay. And he said, you're a nice guy. What do you need? You need Playboy or any magazine here? I said, no, I need Bible. Wow. If you can get me a Bible. He said, you ask for a hard thing to have, but I will try to get it for you. So after a few days, he came with a Bible, and I opened it up. I said, I cannot see. What language is it? It's Swahili. I said, it's an African language. I said, I don't know that language, but do you know? He said, yeah, I know that language. I said, can you tell me first? I tried to, ask him to read the things.
For you.
And then he translated for me. So I knew the verses, I thought, and but it was hard. And then he said, it's hard to find the Bible, but I never thought how this thing is important. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the prison, there was a guy with a book, and this one was hanging on. I said, that's a Bible. I know that's a Bible. So I was like jumping because I couldn't walk, with 1 foot. I went to that guy, I said, is this Bible? He said, yes. I said, what language? He said, English. I said, please, can I have it for free hour? Please, please. He said, yes, you can have it. I started reading because we didn't have light in the night. So all day until I could read it, and then I give it. And the next day, I just woke up again and said, please, can I have your Bible? He said, can I ask you something? I said, yes. Do you know the Bible? I said, yeah. He said, I have many people in the prison. They ask me a question I cannot answer. Can I bring them to you?
Wow.
I said, yeah. So the next day, there were 14, 15 people in a lineup. I have all questions, and he brought them. He knows the answer. Come, everybody has a question about Bible. So I was in and the best moment of my life, that hell become heaven when the first person gave their heart to Jesus.
Who was that first person?
The first person was an Iranian guy.
Yeah.
That was funny. He came to visit us in prison and bring us fruit. Okay. They hit him and put him in a prison. And he was cursing himself, and he said, why I came to visit you and bring him fruit? And then later on said, that was the reason I came to this prison.
Did they let him go at least? I don't know.
No, they didn't go, and he was in prison. But he came and he received Christ. Okay. But he was supposed to just visit and go. And from that moment, that big guy came, and it was a Christmas day, we were in prison. And he said, I used to be a champion of arm wrestling in Iran.
Yeah, okay.
So the first time I had the championship with this big guy.
The Kenyan guy.
And he was like standing up, and 4 people, there were 2 people from here, and he was like a roller coaster. It was just, and we came and arm wrestling, and I won. And he said, you are strong. I said, no, you are strong, because I didn't do anything. And he said, I want to talk to you now. Because I said, okay. He said, what do you want for Christmas? I said, well, I don't know. He said, I'll bring you some song, Christian song. I said, thank you so much. So he brought some lyrics, and he said, let's pray together. I said, do you know Christ? He said, you don't know me. I was a minister of God.
Wow.
He said, I was a champion of boxing in Kenya, and I became millionaire when I was 30 years old. And then I got a disease, and my parents, they were Christians. I never accepted Christ, and they always told me about Christ. And then suddenly I got a disease. There was no cure for it. I said, Lord, if you heal me, I'm going to serve you. So they prayed for me. God has healed me. Then I gave my life. I went to Bible school. I became a minister. I was going to all these villages in Kenya. I was preaching the gospel. And then I was so rich, I had a chemical company. And I don't know why I end up to these drugs and other things. And he didn't smoke or nothing, but he was doing this. And he was crying and said, Lord, never forgive me. Lord, you will never forgive me. I said, brother, God will forgive you. And then we talked, and he gave his heart again.
Oh my gosh.
And this big guy and everybody, all Iranian came. He said, wow, what happened to this monster? He was crying. What did you do with him? I said, nothing. He just...
So now as our time is ending again, and these stories are fantastic, God used you in the prison cell. And so it's really a story for most of us where we end up in places we don't want to be. We get into very dark circumstances we don't want to go. And we complain and we wonder what happened to us. But then truly in those circumstances, God uses us. It's a part of our ministry. We always talk about the darkness, also with the light. We don't always talk about just the light. We talk about sometimes when we fall down, we make a greater impact. When we lose, we gain. We always talk about these, and this is very true about your life. But a part of your story is really amazing is you got out of Pakistan, but the person who got you out was the same person who was a smuggler, a trafficker, who was in Singapore at that time, and he had no reason to even worry about you. And now he's in Singapore having his own fun.
Yes.
And God has a visitation on him and says what he has to do.
I was in prison and...
For how long?
2 months.
2 months.
And my dad came to release me. He brought the money and he gave the money to another guy, agent, to bribe them and take me out because there is no rule in that prison. So the guy, he got the money, he had a stroke that night and he died and the money was gone.
Right.
So my dad was so depressed, he left Pakistan without even coming to prison to say goodbye or what. The other guy came and he said, your dad left. And I was so, that moment that he said, I came out from the visitation, I said, Lord, I want to repent because I trusted a man to release me. And from that moment, the Lord spoke to me, now, blessed the man who trusts in the Lord. So he said, I will release you tomorrow. So the next day, the same time, when I came back to Barak, everybody said, I was so happy. He said, that your dad released you? I said, no, the guy, he got the money, he died. And they said, why you are happy? I said, because the Lord said, tomorrow you will release me. Everybody said, the guy, the Turkish guy over there, it took 2 years, he became mad. And you took 2 months, now you are mad and you think God is coming and will release you. The next day, exact same time, the Lord just made this smuggler from Singapore. He said I was having fun. In the night time, I was with the girls, everything, and suddenly the Lord spoke to my heart, go back to Pakistan, save Ramin, bring him out of the prison. And he said I had $150,000 in my hand. And then I came back again here. And next day, he was out the door of the prison waiting for me. I was shocked. They said, you are released. I said, who released me? My dad was not there, and the guy was standing there. And
the smuggler.
The smuggler.
All the way. He fled the country, came back to the country. How is that possible? Only through God.
Through God. There's no way a man can do that.
Well, my gosh, you know, we're out of time again, and we have just got you through Pakistan. I think we will be having number 3 in program number 4, Lord willing. But it's amazing. It was so wonderful to your story. I know there's so much more to it, but I think just this far, there's so much that people can learn that God can do anything. And yet we do end up in difficult times, and we end up really having seasons where we think that God has forgotten us. And he looks at it and says, you know, something to do in this Pakistani jail, this Iranian guy, this Kenyan guy. Maybe you were sent to that jail for that reason, to meet the Kenyan man who had to have redemption. And for that very reason, you had to go to that jail. And for that very reason, you had to have your knee come out, you know. So this is our crosses we bear. Thank you so much, Pastor Ramin. You know, we all bear a cross. We all have things that happen to us that are very difficult, and yet there's a purpose behind it all. Remember, Christian life is not about you. It's not all about what happens to you. It's all about the greater kingdom. But through it all, hey, you'll make it. And you go through it, and you are victorious. And there are great testimonies and great stories that come out of it that glorify the Father and glorify the Son in the Father. So I bid you farewell. Thank you so much for tuning in, and God bless you.
God bless you.